Hello students. In the previous video, we studied about the political causes of the revolt of 1857. In today's video, we will study about the administrative, the military, economic, social and religious causes of the revolt of 1857. We had studied in the previous video about the political causes, how the imperial policy of the British, the doctrine of lapse and subsidiary alliance all had angered the Nawabs and Rajas who had lost their authority and honor in their kingdom. The freedom of the rulers had been reduced, and the pensions and titles of Nawabs and Rajas had been abolished by the British. Then there was annexation of Awadh on the pretext of misgovernance. Then these Nawabs and Rajas were not allowed to maintain their own native army. Their revenues and territories were taken away by stages through various policies. So all this had angered the Nawabs and the Rajas, and they were looking to oppose the British rule. They were looking for an opportunity to oppose the policies of the British. Today we will study about the administrative causes of the revolt. All the higher posts in civil and military services were reserved for the British. This caused anger among the aristocratic Indian class, which was deprived of power and position. So even though the Indians, those who used to complete the civil services or who used to work in the military, they never got chance to be promoted to higher post or get a good salary in comparison to the British officials in India. The chances of promotion of Indians in both civil and military services were very few and negligible. The highest post for an Indian in military was that a Subedar, and in the civil services was that of a Sadar Amin. This caused frustration among the Indians. Then again, let us look at the military causes. The Indian sepoys in the employment of the British also had reasons for discontent. They were unhappy about their pay, allowances, and condition of service. New rules like crossing of the sea, introduced by the British, hurt the religious sentiments of the sepoys. In those days, crossing the sea meant losing one's religion and caste. And when the sepoys were asked to fight for the company in Burma in 1824, they refused to go by the sea. They preferred going by the land route. In 1856, the company had to pass a new law making it compulsory for the army persons to go overseas whenever required. So they made it compulsory for any person who took up employment in the company's army. They had to agree to serve overseas if required. As the Indian sepoys mostly belonged to the villages with agricultural backgrounds, they fully supported the peasants in the revolt. So these peasants, they reacted to what was happening in the countryside because their families used to live in the villages and were dependent on agriculture. Many of them were peasants and had families living in the villages. So the anger of the peasants quickly spread among the sepoys also. Now we will study about the economic causes. Both the peasants and zamindars were dissatisfied with the revenue policy of the British. They were against the high taxes as well as the rigid and harsh methods of revenue collection. This rigid and harsh method, why do we say? Because even if there was a failure of crop due to drought or floods, the peasants or the zamindars had to pay the revenues fixed by the Britishers. And if they were not able to pay because of failure of crop, they had to take a loan from the money lenders. And now these money lenders, their loan was never recovered, in the sense that they used to give loan on a very high interest rate, which these peasants were never able to repay back. So unable to pay the high taxes, the peasants either lost their land or fell prey to the money lenders. Land was confiscated and sold by auction to the highest bidder. So what used to happen? This land which these peasants lost or were not able to pay the revenue, their land was confiscated, means taken away by the British and sold by auction to the highest bidder. Whoever promised to pay high revenues, the land was auctioned to them. Auction means to sell away at the highest price. Then the artisans and craftsmen were ruined because of large-scale import of cheap manufactured goods from Britain. The handicraft industry of India was also ruined. Why this happened? Because at that time in Western world, they had the industrial revolution, and the machines produced goods at a faster rate and at cheaper price. Whereas the goods like the handicraft items or the textiles made by our artisans, craftsmen and handicraft people, that used to cost more. So nobody at that time was willing to pay more for these goods, and they preferred the machine made British goods. So what happened? These people had no work. Slowly and slowly, what used to happen? Either they had to sell their high cost products at a very lower rate, or else they stopped making these handicrafts or various other decorative items and merchandise or cloth. So all these factors led to dissatisfaction both amongst the peasants, the zamindars, the handicrafts person, the craftsmen, the artisans. They all suffered at the hands of these British people. Even the zamindars, they were sidelined by the British. So in the newly acquired territories, the British had totally ignored the landlords and established direct contact with the peasants. So this again angered the landlords or the zamindars. Now coming to the social causes and religious causes of the revolt of 1857. So the social and religious causes, we have the Christian missionaries who worked to convert the Indians to Christianity. Then all the reform movements or the social reform being introduced in India by the British was not liked by the Indian people at large. And then the taxes on the religious places of Hindus and Muslims, that also angered the people of India. The British considered themselves as superior to the Indians. They described the Hindus as barbarians and the Muslims as cruel and intolerant. The British officers often assaulted and insulted the Indians publicly and were let off with little or no punishment. English education and Western culture was actively promoted, meaning they wanted to create a class of Indians who could work for them. So what they wanted was they wanted them to be able to read English and write in English and also to follow their culture, Western culture. And there was a class of Indians at that time who wanted to please the British by imitating their lifestyle. They used to go to England for higher studies, come back to India and live like the British people, have parties, and they started looking down upon their own Indian brothers, and this is brothers and sisters. So the next point was the Christian missionaries. They also played a very important role in angering the Indians actually. The British missionaries tried to convert Indians to Christianity and got full support of the British, who extended extra facilities for them. In 1850, a new law made conversion to Christianity easier. The British were against idol worship and condemned Hindu gods and goddesses. They taxed the lands belonging to the Hindu temples and Muslim mosques, and all this hurt the religious sentiments of both the Hindus as well as the Muslims. Then again, these Britishers, they brought about various reforms in the Indian society and passed laws which banned sati and legalized widow remarriage. So these acts were regarded by the Indians as direct interference in their religious and social lives. But actually, this benefited the Indians. Why? Because people like Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar and many more at that time, they were totally against the sati practice or the sati pratha. They wanted the young widows to remarry again in the society and live a normal life. Even they were against child marriage, which was prevalent in the Indian society. So there was a class of learned people who wanted to reform the Indian society, and thus they worked with the British to do away with the evils of the Indian society, like the sati pratha, child marriage. They wanted to encourage remarriage of the widows, education for women, to do away with the parda system. So all these social evils are there for which these educated, literate Indian people wanted to work for, but the majority of the Indians, especially the priestly class and those Orthodox Hindus and Muslims, they thought that this was a direct interference in the religious and social life of Indians. So all these policies were not liked by the Indians. So we see that a large section of the population was alarmed by the rapid spread of Western civilization in India. An act in 1850 changed the Hindu law of inheritance, enabling the Hindu who had converted into Christianity to inherit his ancestral properties. This law allowed an Indian who had converted to Christianity to inherit the property of his ancestors, but earlier it was not so. Earlier they were made or termed as outcasts, those who converted to Christianity. But after passing the law in 1850, this made it easier for any Indian who had converted himself or herself to Christianity to inherit the property of his or her ancestors. So people were convinced that the government was planning to convert Indians to Christianity, and many Indians began to feel that the British were destroying their religion, their social customs, and their traditional way of life, because the abolition of practices like sati and female and infanticide and the legislation which legalized widow remarriage were all seen as threats to the established social structure. Even the introduction of the railways and telegraph was viewed with suspicion by the Indians at that time. But there were, of course, other Indians who wanted to change the existing social evil practices of the Indian society. So for today we have finished the administrative, military, economic, social and religious causes of the revolt of 1857. My request is please read the chapter at least twice for understanding it better. In the next video, we will study about the immediate cause of the revolt, the main leaders of the revolt, and the spread of the rebellion. So please read the chapter. Thank you, children.